As your local mattress experts, we wrote the book called Sleep Better. We believe so much in helping you wake up happy. We wrote this book chock full of great sleep tips. To mattress. But I want to give you a free copy, and you can get that copy at gardnersmattressandmore.com/sleep-better.
Double deals, savings events, happening now.
You're listening to the Bulldog Hour, getting you inside the Wilson football program with weekly game previews, recaps, highlights, and interviews. Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffauf.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Bulldog Hour. I am one of your hosts, Joe Mays. Here with me, as always, is my co-host, Justin Raffauf.
Yeah, it's great to be back.
And we are here following another Wilson victory, Justin. Always good to say that.
It's a lot more fun.
It gets the weekend started the way we want it to start, with a victory on Friday. Although my football weekend got started in a bad way on Thursday night, as I got to see my team drop to 0-3. And I saw today that the chances of making the playoffs when starting 0-3 are like 2% or something
So
like
you're
that.
saying
There is no chance, Justin, but I knew that before the season.
Dude,
so
there
this
is
shouldn't
a
be a
chance.
surprise.
Don't give up.
I'm giving up completely, giving up on them, not on anyone else.
Right.
We'll know more about the collegiate rooting interest next Saturday. But right now I'm focused on Friday Night Lights and the Wilson Bulldogs, who have now gotten off to a second consecutive 4-1 start. Identical to last year, home and away, a bit different, but teams the same, results the same.
A little nicer this year in terms of home and away.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. But Wilson last year in the regular season struggled a little bit with the Cedar Crest Falcons. That was not really the case Friday night down in Lebanon.
No, outside of a few minutes, it was not the case at all.
Yeah, pretty dominating performance all around by your Bulldogs on Friday the 19th at Earl Bolt Stadium to take on the Cedar Crest Falcons. Justin and I will recap that game in its entirety here on the 11th episode of the Bulldog Hour's 11th season. We'll also preview the upcoming rivalry game against Governor Mifflin. But before we do that, we do want to thank our sponsors here at the program for our 10th anniversary, starting with my dad and sister at Mays Sandwich Shop. Please visit them at ordermays.com. Thanks, as always, for being there for us this year. And in addition to Mays Sandwich Shop, we want to thank Jeff Janakovo and Gardner's Mattress and More, gardnersmattressandmore.com. Visit them down in Lancaster. You heard their ad at the beginning of this episode. Please check them out, as well as our other business sponsors, S&S Mechanical, Steve Simons. Check out their website, ssfirstmechanical.com, here in Sinking Spring. And our first sponsor of the 2025 Bulldog Hour season was Eric Weiser from ericweiserhomes.com and Berkshire Hathaway Home Sale Realty. Check out Eric for all of your home buying and selling needs. Again, that's ericweiserhomes.com. Mike Drago, MikeDragosports.com. Be sure to follow along, subscribe to his website for all of your needs in and around the Berks County area. He does a great job, and you'll see my pictures on his stories. And also, once again, Justin, I am tied for the lead in Fearless Friday football forecast.
There you go.
You know, I had a down year last year after winning the first 2 years, and now I'm trying to take that crown back. All right, so in addition to those presenting sponsors and business sponsorships, Mays Sandwich Shop, Gardner's Mattress and More, S&S Mechanical, our latest patron returning this year is the Miller family. So thank you very much for re-upping here with the Bulldog Hour. And again, Realtor Eric Weiser, Mike Drago Sports, Andy Herr, the Challenger family, and our 2 anonymous donors. And believe it or not, Justin, well, I know you know this. We'll be back in 1 week for our next live show. Same time, same place. Sunday, September 28th, 6:30 in the evening, and we will recap the game against the Mustangs and look ahead to the next road game down in Hempfield. But believe this, Justin, 5 games down, 5 regular season games to go, back at Gursky this Friday. But here we are. We're at the point we talk about, in early to mid-August when we start this, we're always like, it's going to be here before you know. Once end of September gets here, we're more than halfway through the season.
Yeah, and we're entering the week that will be the last game in September. It's going to be October. And again, we mentioned this a little bit last week. The way the calendar falls, that week 10 game is about as early as it will get on the calendar.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy how quickly this is going.
If you look at the calendar for next year, it's going to be interesting to me where things are going to begin, because Memorial Day, Labor Day is the latest it can be next year, as it was
opposite.
Yeah, it was the earliest it could be this year on Monday the 1st. Next year it's on Monday the 7th. So I don't know how things are going to shift. Could you imagine if they keep it status quo and we're playing
week 3 on Labor Day?
Well,
or do you mean
no,
if they adjust it? Yeah.
If week 4 would be Labor Day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't think it's been published yet. I know there's a lot. It's the end of a 2-year cycle for at least District 3, although I think they have to take the lead from PIAA in terms of playoffs and whatnot, and that might change how the season starts. I would anticipate things starting a little later next year, just to keep the 3rd game Labor Day weekend or the 3rd game after Labor Day weekend versus the 4th game after Labor Day weekend, which would be odd.
Yeah.
The 4th game would be the Friday following Labor Day if they stay with the earlier start.
Right. Well, and
that really
at the end of the cycle,
summer.
Who knows what that will be? You know,
So we'll see, but I don't want to look ahead to 2026 too much, because we're right here in 2025 with the Bulldogs sitting at 4-1 and control their own destiny in Section 1 after a dominating performance against Cedar Crest a week after looking very strong against Reading High. Rebounded nicely the last 2 games after the setback against Nazareth area. And Justin, it's tough now that we're 5 games in to not look at power ratings and think about playoffs, because that's where this train is headed. Wilson is struggling in the power ratings because the non-league schedule has not been great.
No, and some of those you might be able to see coming, but some of those there's just no real way around it. It's just bad luck. Well, like we mentioned, Nazareth lost this week to Parkland. They were probably going to lose to Parkland no matter what. However, with Falzone out with a broken collarbone, non-throwing shoulder, but
still kind of important for a dual threat
still
quarterback.
A big deal, and he is it's unlikely that he's going to return this year. They're definitely going to lose some games that they probably would have won. I'm thinking at least 2.
I was going to say a minimum of 1, probably
more.
2. That would give you the probably
any
the
toss-up
swing.
game goes to probably lean to opponent at this point.
Unless the quarterback behind him is
and
really
this is
good.
not a statement on him, but Parkland is one of the top 6A teams
in the state
right now. So that was one they could have lost anyway. And I honestly probably would have expected
lost in
them to
resounding fashion
Right.
without him.
Right.
Now with him, is it closer? Probably.
Right.
I still think Parkland was going to win.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's gonna trickle down and hurt our power rating. That's
right.
the way the
right.
formula goes.
That'll hurt a little bit.
So
and then
if Nazareth was, say they were going to go 9-1 with the 1 loss to Parkland, that would have looked really good. Now if they go 7-3. That's 2 less wins that are going towards Wilson's strength of schedule. That's the way this works. Did you see an update on Cheltenham?
I didn't.
I don't know what
now.
Cheltenham has been up to, but we know Governor Mifflin, who Wilson will play this week, is sitting at 2-3. So, Wilson should have been a big. Justin and I say this all the time. You want to cheer for the teams on your non-league slate when they're not playing you. And, yes, Justin and I always want to see Mifflin win, except when we play them, because it helps us in the long run. Same thing with Nazareth. Same this year, Cheltenham and Plymouth Whitemarsh, which Plymouth Whitemarsh I think is a pretty decent team. They lost in a close game last week to
Cheltenham is 1-4.
Okay, so
They've lost
also not helping.
Hang on, they've lost 1, 2, 3. They lost 3 one-score games.
Oh, see,
Yep.
if
They
you
lost
flip those around,
17-14. They lost 28-20, and they lost 38-30.
oh, that's tough. That's tough. You need
Yeah.
Cheltenham to pull out a few of those games.
Right.
Mm.
And yeah,
Yeah. So Plymouth Whitemarsh, are they 3-2
I'm
with the
looking.
losses to us in Township? At least that's what I'm hoping they're sitting at, 3-2.
No, because they lost the week before.
Oh, that's right. They lost. So then they would have at best be 2-3.
But I think I did see that they won this week.
All right.
They
so
are 2-3.
They are 2-3. So hopefully they can go on a little bit of a run now.
Right.
Which means they won this past Friday. Hopefully they can continue that and challenge down there in the suburban Philly league and help us boost our power rating. Because as of right now, we're 5 weeks in. Wilson is sitting at 4 in the district, 3 6A power ratings.
Well, just real quick to just put a bow on the opponent part there. I know I've had some people say to me like, well, we need to schedule teams that do better in the regular season. Like, we need to schedule stronger teams for our non-league. And my response is, they're like, well, like, what happened to Central Dauphin? And I always bring up Central Dauphin is in the mid-pen, and they went to 9 league games. They went to 10-team conferences. They have 9 league games. It only is week 1, and they weren't looking to do that week 1. Okay. Also, CD the last few years wouldn't have been an improvement in terms of our opponent. Like, they've hit a little bit of a patch here where they're
2-3 right
struggling.
now.
Right. So, like, I get that, but the other thing I usually say is you can only schedule teams that are willing to schedule you.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, whether it's scheduling, like they don't want to have 6 home or 6 away game, or whether it's the weeks don't match up, or whether it's they just aren't interested in playing us, or we're not interested in playing them. Like it has to be mutual. It's not like your league games where there's a committee, I assume, or that sits down and schedules it out and says these are the matchups and these are the weeks. It's not like that. This is ADs. You have to find a dance partner. It takes someone who's willing to do that, and so it's not as simple as, oh well, we should play so and so. What if so and so doesn't want to play?
Right. So we'll see what the next 2-year cycle brings. I talked to Coach Dahms about it before this season even started, and it, honestly, as I expected, wasn't even something he was thinking about because he was focused on this season. And he and athletic director Drew Kaufman will sit down and talk about next year when that becomes a necessity following the season, probably pretty close to the end of the season.
The LL will have to make their call for next year.
And that
first.
is the next thing, too, that what's happening in the Lancaster-Lebanon League. Right now there's 5 sections. There's talk that it could move to 4 sections, which would add another team or 2 to your section that you would now have to play and would eliminate some non-league games.
And I'm going to go out on a limb that this is also one of those things where the Berks teams have no say, isn't it?
Yeah, if they're considered all associates, they would not have voting power.
Right. They may be able to feel one way or the other, but I assume it is like all those other LL issues where the LL schools and representatives will decide.
Right. So Nazareth was added on last year at the last second, and that's why we ended up with 4 home games last year and 6 home games this year, because we wanted to be home last year, but Nazareth didn't want to, and we're just like, okay, fine, we'll have 4 1 year, 6 the next. But, I mean, that's a 6A school, a good 6A school.
Yep.
We lost to them both times, but that's the...
It happens.
It happens. Plymouth Whitemarsh was coming off back-to-back 9 or 10 win seasons.
Right.
So they weren't as strong last year, and they seem to have taken a step back again this year, but still, they were coming off of 9, 10 win seasons when they were scheduled, when they were added to the schedule. I don't anticipate Cheltenham will be back on the schedule after this 2-year cycle. They were fill-in before, then we re-upped with them, but I don't think they'll return. And Mifflin could be a Section 1 game next year. Could be. We'll see. If that happens, then Wilson would probably still have 2 non-league games open. If Mifflin doesn't get bumped to Section 1, if there is a reduction from 5 sections to 4.
When
Mifflin would still probably be a non-league game. Then you'd only need one non-league opponent.
When is the next cycle for the PIAA classification?
This
it'll
year.
be the same thing.
Yeah, it's 2-year
Okay,
completely.
okay.
Yeah, everyone's on the same. At least LL District 3, PIAA are on the same.
So that made sense in my head, but I knew that didn't mean that's how it was done.
No, that is how it works. Surprisingly, yes. So that's all coming up in the next
little sidetrack
a month
there,
from
but-
now. Yeah, sure, why not? But let's get back to the Cedar Crest game and talk about Wilson's 62-20 victory. Justin, did you by chance double check if that was a scoreagami in Wilson lore?
I tried to, and I believe I did. I'm not sure that I was getting the full results, but I believe that it is. I used the database that you have provided. I did not find too many 62s in the Wilson. That's where I started, as opposed to starting with the 20s, which
a lot of
expect to
20s,
be more.
62 not so much.
Right. So when I was doing that, I found a decent amount of. Well, sorry, I don't think there were too many 62s. I believe it was the first time we won 62, or that we played in a game 62-20. But can't say it with certainty. But that's my understanding. I was checking from my phone, so it.
Oh yeah, that might have been tough too. I'll try to do it from the computer here as we talk about the victory. But a strong game, Justin, all around, and it started out very quickly.
Oh yeah,
positively for the Bulldogs. Wilson deferred, kicked off. What was it? The second or third play from scrimmage,
right?
And Chase Herb jumped in front of an out pass from Stevens, their quarterback, picked it off on his birthday. A nice little birthday gift to himself to start the momentum moving in Wilson's direction. He got down. What was it? Inside the 10?
Yeah, he
or
got
about right
yeah,
inside
yeah.
the red zone for sure.
Yes.
He got close to pay dirt, got tackled, and 2 plays later, Corell Akings got the scoring started.
And is that
for
the one the picture was from, or was that a
No,
different one?
that was
Okay.
his second
Okay,
touchdown.
okay.
Yeah, so
I thought it might be because it was a little darker, and that was so early, even with the delay, that I thought that it might be from his second touchdown, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yes. So Wilson went up 7-0 on after the Chase Herb interception, and then the offense using the short field, taking advantage of that and moving down right away to go up 7-0. Wilson got to score again on the next defensive series as a nice play by the linebackers, by the rushers. I believe it was Matthew Wyatt that caused either a deflected pass or a kind of a short throw that kind of went up in the air and ended up landing in the arms of who else? E.J. Brownback again, not only for his third pick, but he returned this one for a touchdown. So his third pick six in 5 games. I said to Justin immediately, how soon until someone asked me what is the Wilson record?
Well, it's
for
funny
pick
because
six
I was
in a
already
game?
thinking I'm going to have to ask Joey what the record is, but I hadn't said it to you or sent it to you yet at that point.
So this was on the 6th play of Cedar Crest's second drive. Stephen Reyes' pass intercepted by Brownback, 47 yards to the house.
Yeah. So at that point, we had run 2 offensive plays and we're up 14.
We're up 14-0. And Justin, I sent you the picture and I posted it. I don't know if anyone looked at it completely, but I have. And EJ's out of focus, but the focus is on the Cedar Crest student section of the people with their shirts or chest painted for Go Falcons. And as EJ's returning the interception, you can see the people sitting there with their hands on their head, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're going to be down 14-0. I can't believe they just threw a pick six. However, for those fans, things turned around quickly.
Yes.
All of a sudden, on the next series, on the second play because of penalties, Isaiah Zimmerman, their big-time running back, the junior who's getting D1 looks, he goes 74 yards for a score, and all of a sudden they cut the Wilson lead in half. It's 14-7, and you're like, okay, it would have been nice giving up big play. We talk about it all the time. What gives teams hope? What lets inferior teams hang around. Big plays, turnovers, penalties.
Yep.
Those are the big three. Well, for a few minutes here in the first quarter, Wilson was committing those issues because after giving up the big play touchdown for 74 yards, a few plays later on Wilson's offensive possession, a Mason Young pass was it deflected or bobbled?
I don't know. It got tipped at some point. I could not see if it made it to the receiver and got tipped, or if it got tipped before it got to the receiver like that. I could not see, but I saw it get like its trajectory changed like late in the. So I don't know if it was one of the defenders or if it like we couldn't get our hands on it or whatever. But it got deflected and then got picked.
Yeah, that was by Garrett Starry, one of the Crest's best players.
He then was able to find his way to the end zone.
25 yards.
Right. And in the blink of an eye, now it's 14-14, and you're like, oh boy.
Yeah, in 3 minutes of game clock, not even, 2 minutes and 57 seconds, it went from 14-0 Wilson to 14-14.
Right, and this dramatic swing that we had right away kind of got the counter punch. It's like we landed 2 big punches right away, and, instead of the guy staggering, they countered with 2 big punches. However, and this was the point where, I think I said to you at this point, I'm like, well, we're going to see kind of the resiliency here. Because, yeah, you're not down 14-0 like they were. But at the same time, 14-0 real quick after the 15-minute delay to start the game. Like, just all these weird things.
Talk about that.
All these weird things to start. It's like, all right, well, is this going to be just one of those weird games now? You know what I mean? Like, is this going to be one of those weird ones? And yet, they were able to put that behind them. Now, not necessarily on first and second down of the next series. Like, I think we were in 3rd and long.
Well, so first, someone, and I don't know who, got a personal foul, I believe, on the interception return. When Cedar Crest kicked off,
yes, it was for a blindside block. Was the signal I saw from the ref when they were talking to each other, not to the thing. So one of our guys blindsided someone.
Regardless,
I don't know.
Regardless,
Yes, yeah. But you and I had the same thought of the kick too for them.
Yeah, kick it on sides.
When you're kicking off from your opponent's 45-yard line, I would onside that nearly every time.
They were kicking from the 50, but yeah, because the kickoff went 50 yards to the 0.
Okay.
Kickoff went in the end zone.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I mean either way.
Yeah.
You have to kick it to at least the 40. It's probably maybe getting to the 40 to the 35. And if you get it, guess what? Now you just had 2 scores to even the game that was starting to get out of hand, and now you have the ball again.
Right.
Otherwise, what do you have to lose? You're the underdog.
Right.
So I was a little surprised, and we both texted each other immediately. We could kick it on sides. Nope, they didn't kick it on sides. But Wilson gets the ball back, tied 14-14. Struggles a little bit, loses 3 yards, incomplete pass. So it's 3rd and 13, like you were alluding to. And then Mason found Mike Glover for 23 yards to get the first down. Mason finds Mike Glover again for 15 yards.
Right. And those were big plays. That 3rd down kind of caught Mike out in the flat there a little bit. He was just running with a head of steam. Whew. Like, yeah, I've mentioned that a few times already this year. Like, I would not want to be in that spot. And that's where you could hear, that's when you started to hear some of the rumblings over on the Cedar Crest side of that 15 is a monster. They might
want to talk to their players and student body that you don't want to poke the bear, because I didn't see specifics, but I heard players and maybe some parents talking about Cedar Crest Barstool account.
Oh, yeah, I heard some rumblings.
I don't know exactly what was going on, but I know what Wilson's Barstool account is like, so I can only imagine what opponents' Barstool accounts are like. And I would be certain to think that Mike knew all about it. And when he had the ball in his hand, it looked like he was ready to run over anyone and everyone. He looked really good. And why you would try to upset the opponent's, one of the opponent's best players? We talk about this all the time. What are these people thinking that they don't have to
And it's almost always, and I don't know, and I don't want to know who is writing these checks, but so many times it's people writing checks
That
where
they
they're
don't have
not
to
the one that has to cash
You don't
it.
have to worry about
Like,
it.
thanks.
Yeah,
Reminds me of the
appreciate
Eagles.
it.
Reminds me of the Eagles when like the offensive lineman would like get on Brandon Graham for being like, dude, you don't have to line up across from
Right,
that
yeah.
guy. Like,
'Cause he
please stop
smack
trash talking
him.
Aaron Donald. You know, like you know.
So those two passes from Young to Glover took it from the Wilson 17 to the Cedar Crest 45. Corral rushed for 5 yards, and then on a beautiful pass and catch, Mason Young connects with Elijah Deans for 40 yards, who goes
my
up and
gosh.
gets it, able to maintain balance, get in the end zone, I believe for the first time, which they
It was
had
a
been.
great catch, and then to gather yourself
Right.
and get in.
It was great.
And unlike Dez, he caught it. So
And he made it count
Right.
and looked good doing it. So Mason Young connects with Elijah Dean, 40 yards for the Wilson score, and immediately you're like, that was a good answer. You know,
Yeah.
the game felt like it was getting,
right.
I don't want to say out of hand or
No, but it
you
it had that wacky feel.
right,
like,
yeah.
oh,
we're
this
up
could
14
be
nothing down.
this
down
could be
tied.
the Cedar Crest game that you and I talk about, and that we've seen the last 2 years. Where like I know that Wilson should win this game, yet here we are in a
Right.
game where like we're gonna need to make a play, you know, and again, it always escapes me last year, but I know we stepped up and made the plays. But like 2 years ago, it was Eddie Case making the pick at the end. You know,
Right.
like it's just.
And
all
last
right.
year was a stop.
Right.
Fourth quarter, 4th and goal
Yeah.
stop that propelled Wilson to victory in the regular season, at least. So here we are, getting towards the end of the first quarter. When Crest has the ball, the first quarter does end. We start second quarter with a punt from Cedar Crest. So Bulldogs take over again, and a 10-play drive ensues with an eventual Wilson touchdown. This one is the one to Jaden Carpenter.
Right, and this
who-
was a great like settle in drive.
Right.
Where like, okay, it's not the big play was awesome, but this was we have firmly reestablished control of this game, and this game is ours, and you're not like not literally, but like you're gonna have trouble stopping us. You know, like, and that was nice to see. It was very, very good. We love the big plays, but the big plays in this type of game can also add to just the craziness factor. And like this was we have grabbed control.
So a lot of rushing on this drive. Monty Greer, Mason Young, and then as we get closer and closer to the end zone, Wilson is going for it on 4th down, 4th and 3. He hits Mike Glover for 10 yards to pick up the first. Greer rushes.
Great
and
play
then-
there too.
Yes, absolutely. The 4th and 3 pickup. Glover got 10 yards on that one. Greer rushed for 4 yards, and then Young found Carpenter in the end zone. He went up over his defender,
Yeah.
made an excellent catch. Perfect execution all around. Wilson ends up doubling their lead right there, 28-14. Another short drive by Cedar Crest, and the Wilson gets the ball back. And again, this is when the play just started going all downhill in a good way for Wilson. The momentum had picked up, and things were running pretty smooth. A 7-play, 35-yard drive after a Cedar Crest punt ends up being Corral Aking's second rushing touchdown of the game. This is the one of the picture that you had been talking about.
Okay, yeah.
Because we haven't mentioned it here yet, but the offensive line played really well, possibly their best game of the season to date.
I felt so without having the particulars. Like I thought they played really well.
Right, and I don't know what Brandon Dahms would if he'd agree with us or not, but it just felt all night long, and especially in the passing game, that the offensive line had their best night. Mason Young had a ton of time, and Mason Young also was able to buy himself some time when he was eventually under pressure.
Right, when there was pressure, Mason, man, there were a couple of times where I don't know how he did it.
No, there was one where,
and I think there's still defenders wondering how he did it. But.
There was one where he made a step and made 2 Crest defenders, I think, run into each other, and that got a big response from the crowd. But by and large, I felt like the offensive line, especially in the passing game, may have had their best game of the season. And this touchdown from Corral, there was no one around Akings as he headed into the end zone, right up the middle of the field to get that score and extend Wilson lead to 21, making it 35-14. Now you're getting close to the end of the second quarter, approaching halftime. But Wilson wanted more. Cedar Crest, again, 3 plays, 3 yards, 1:10 off the clock, has to punt it away. Akings with a nice return down almost into Cedar Crest, the red zone. Bulldog drive start with a Mason Young completion to Eli Dean. And then eventually a completion to Mike Glover that got Wilson inside the Cedar Crest 15. And then a couple plays later, Mason once again finds Elijah Dean for 12 yards, and he does the rest to put Wilson up 42-14 after Preston Oxenrider's PAT. And now you're like, this is more like it. This is the way you respond to a team that fought back themselves, but now you answered with four straight touchdowns, and really shut Cedar Crest down. They had a 3-play, 4 plays, like 3 or 4 play drives. That's it. That they were they were essentially forcing 3 and outs.
And at that point you realized, okay, it was 14-14, but the defense had only given up the one big play.
Right.
Like that was it.
And
like I don't know if Cedar Crest had a first down other than that one big play.
Yeah, I don't know by the half what they did or not. But we go to halftime, it's 42-14. Everything's looking pretty good. Wilson did fail to score on their first possession of the second half, and we wanted to see if they could just put it away, get to the running clock, the mercy rule. They were forced to punt after 6 plays. Herb's punt goes 33 yards to the 22, but Luke Oriole, one of Cedar Crest's best players, did return it 48 yards to set up Crest's next offensive drive where they would get in the end zone again. 5 plays, 30 yards, with Isaiah Zimmerman capping it off on a 12-yard touchdown. So you're like, okay, 42-21, you're still up 3 touchdowns, but let's take the power back. Let's show them that we're not done. And that's exactly what happened. And we talk about answering an opponent's positive play or change of momentum. You can't let it stew. You need to flush it and move on. And that's exactly what happened, because the Bulldogs would go up 49-20 just a few plays later when Mason Young would find Mike Glover in the end zones on a 13-yard score. 49-20. Cedar Crest missed the extra point to make it 49-20 here. Another 4-play drive by Crest ends with a punt. Wilson gets the ball back and takes it to the end of the third quarter, and then the first play of the fourth quarter is a Mason Young rushing touchdown, a little sneak to put Wilson up 56-20. That was an 8-play drive to end the third quarter and start the fourth quarter. 3 and out again, and I believe at this point some backups in JV are playing, who for the second straight week played really well. Yeah, I know Cedar Crest did start to sub themselves at this point, unlike Reading a week ago. Reading kept most of their ones in.
They did, but not immediately. But yeah.
But good job for the guys that were subbing in or getting to play more than they had been accustomed to. Second straight week looking pretty good. And that starts with Tyler Ulrich. Looked very strong running the ball in the fourth quarter. It eventually would lead to another touchdown by the Bulldogs, orchestrated by Logan Pettit and Tyler Ulrich. This time, though, the pass went to Jackson Becker on 4th and 15 from the 26.
He got it, and you saw Jackson's speed.
Yeah, they're throwing basically parallel to the line of scrimmage. Like they're not throwing down the field.
It was a
little
like
screen.
What they say. It's like that extended run game.
Essentially, yes.
But he got it, and
good blocking from the receivers, and Jackson Becker is super fast and ended up not only picking up the first down, but getting into the end zone. Now, the Wilson PAT would fail, and gets us to 62-20. A long time to get there because there was a lot of action, delayed action after Justin mentioned a lighting issue to start. But Wilson would beat Cedar Crest 62-20. So other than that little bit of hiccup there after Wilson went up 14-0, pretty solid game all around. A turnover, okay, big play. You limited it to 1-1.
Right. It was really, and when I say like 2 series, that almost feels like overselling it. It was really like a 4 or 5 play stretch. Like that was it. There were 4 or 5 plays where I'm like, like it. And then outside of that, Wilson did almost exactly what you would want them to do, and it was good. And it was good to see, like, hey, it's not the same as some of the other opponents, but like Zimmerman's a stud. And so, like, if you let them hang around and you let them grind out first downs and you let you never know, right? But they didn't do that. They handled their business. They put it away. It was good to see.
Wilson had 23 first downs on the night. They limited Cedar Crest to just 5. Net yards rushing, Wilson got up to 159. Cedar Crest hit 131, but again, one play for 74 yards. Otherwise, they were only able to get 57 yards rushing every other play from them. Also, the Wilson defense limited Cedar Crest to just 33 yards passing, whereas Wilson quarterbacks put up 222. So Wilson ended up more than doubling up Cedar Crest on offensive yardage, 381 to 164. Only had to punt the one time. There were a lot of penalties in the game, 7 against Wilson, 8 against Cedar Crest. And time of possession, fairly even, though Wilson ended up having it a little bit more, 27-43 to 2017. Bulldogs were 6 of 11 on third down, but a perfect 3 for 3 on fourth down. And the Wilson defense surrendered just 2 of 8 third down conversions and stopped Cedar Crest on their 1 fourth down conversion. Another positive number, Justin, red zone chances.
Yes.
Wilson, 7 completed or successful, 7. So every time Wilson got inside the 20, they got points.
Yeah, that's huge.
Touchdowns,
Yep.
no field goals, all touchdowns. So very good job by the Wilson offense as well. No sacks by either team, but that was mostly because it was a run-first, short pass game for Cedar Crest, and Wilson is just good pass blocking and nice shifty moves in the pocket from Mason.
Yeah. What did Mason have, like 20-some attempts again?
Yeah, so he had 22 passing
so
attempts.
22 pass attempts and not give up a sack. And again, a lot of that was the line. There were a couple times where he extended it with his legs and did just an outstanding job with that as well. There were points where Cedar Crest was throwing literally everything at them trying to get it, especially trying to limit that downfield passing game. And the line, Mason, the receivers, they all kind of stepped up. The backs stepped up to kind of counter that.
So Mason Young ended up being Wilson's leading rusher for the night as well. He had 7 rushes for 62 yards and the sneak touchdown. You heard us say he went 14 of 22 for 187 yards and 4 passing touchdowns. Logan Pettit, who came in there in the fourth quarter, went 5 for 5 for 35 yards and a touchdown himself. Tyler Ulrich was the second leading rusher with 41 yards on 5 carries. And Akings had 2 rushing touchdowns. Mike Glover was the leading receiver by number of receptions. Mason found him 7 times for 77 yards and a score. Eli Dean led the team in receiving yardage, catching 4 balls for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. Brady Matisic was Pettit's favorite receiver, catching 2 balls for 8 yards. And then we talked about Jackson Becker taking a Pettit pass, 26 yards for a score. And Jaden Carpenter, I felt like Mason was always throwing in the direction of Jaden, but he only ended up with 1 catch for 10 yards. It was the touchdown.
Right.
However, there were at least 2 more attempts that may have resulted in long touchdowns that were incompletions, but photographic evidence says there should have been flags on those plays.
The one I think was Jaden that got called back for holding.
Oh, that's right. Yes. He did, yeah. So there was 3 really,
right? And it may have been one of those by like letter of the law, maybe, but it was also some good blocking and just
yes, yeah. You're right. Carpenter did have a touchdown called back. He had the 10-yard touchdown, the great catch over the defender. He had 1 called back, and then he had 2 more that if they wouldn't have been touchdowns, they would have been fantastic catches and big plays. Right. Both of which no calls. Right. But someone may have photos that say that they probably should have been flags. Yeah. We won't dwell on that, though. But Carpenter, I think, despite only hauling in 1 pass, was definitely getting a lot of looks from Mason Young in this one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right. So defensively speaking, the Bulldogs were led by senior safety Chase Herb this week. 6 total tackles from his safety spot, 1 for loss, and he had the interception return 24 yards to set up Wilson's first score. And you heard us mention E.J. Brownback once again, another interception return, 47 yards for a touchdown. He also had 5 total tackles. Malachi Tolles and Mel Gaston each had 3.5 total tackles, one of which was a tackle for loss. Braden Farrell had a tackle for loss. Matthew Wyatt is credited with the with a block on what did he block? Am I forgetting something? Was there a punt deflected, or did they block a field goal?
We did block. We might have gotten.
I'm completely blanking on that.
We might have gotten a hand on the field goal he kicked one into the line and maybe like it got blocked.
Okay,
I couldn't.
That
see.
must be it. I just completely misremembering that.
But yeah, their missed extra point was drilled really low.
Okay, that's what it was. Okay, so it's for Wyatt getting his body in front of the PAT. That's what it was. And Matthew Wyatt was featured in packages inside linebacker, which was nice to see him active. And we mentioned his name as being the one that led to the Brownback pick 6. All right, Justin, I think that about wraps up the Cedar Crest game. But we want to first acknowledge our player of the game before we move on to our player and coach interviews. And our player of the game this week is not one, but 2 Bulldogs, as we do on occasion here on the show. We have a tough time picking, and, well, this week was no different because we discussed a unit award, which we've done in the past.
Right.
We discussed maybe having an offense and a defensive award, which we probably have also done in the past, but the coaches
at this point we've mixed it up a few times.
We have, and it's our show. We can do what we want.
Right.
Tobias Frog and the coaches have their own thing that'll be coming out tomorrow. So we looked at it and we thought with the offensive shootout that the Bulldogs got into and the efficiency there, we thought there were 2 guys that were deserving of the award. So for this week on the Bulldog Hour, we're giving the player of the game to senior quarterback Mason Young and senior wide receiver Eli Dean. You heard us say it a few times already, but I'll reiterate, Mason was 14 of 22 for 187 yards passing and 4 touchdowns there, plus 7 rushes for 62 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. And Eli hauled in 4 catches for 90 yards and scored 2 touchdowns. So for their work against Cedar Crest down in Lebanon, they are the Bulldog Hour's player of the game for the Game 5 win and the 4th win of the season for the Bulldogs. Now, Justin and I did catch up with some players after the game. We were looking to possibly talk to more of them, maybe an offensive segment and a defensive segment, but unfortunately a lot of the players had left the field by the time we were able to get over to the sideline to record interviews. Obviously buried this a little bit, but the Cedar Crest game was Coach Dahms' 200th win as head coach, and we took some photos with him and the coaching staff after the team huddle. And by that time that was over, a lot of the players had departed. We're gonna try to catch up with Chase Herb and E.J. Brownback, but they were gone. But we did get to talk to some of the offensive players, including those that we just named our players of the game. So here we go. Let's take a listen to some post-game interviews with our players.
All right, we are joined post-game here with 3 Bulldogs after their 62-20 victory over Cedar Crest, win number 4 of the season. Guys, how'd that one feel?
Felt good. We got my boy here some 2 touchdowns. Jaden had a nice little catch, so we played great tonight all around.
Yeah, absolutely. It seemed that the passing game was clicking. You had 22 attempts, Mason, 14 completions, 4 touchdowns through the air, 187 yards, 1 to Glover, 1 to Carpenter. Jaden almost had a few acrobatic attempts tonight, and the one in the corner of the end zone was quite fantastic. What was going through your mind on that play?
Honestly, the coaches always told me to high point the ball, so that's what I just did, and it was in my hands when I had it.
Came down, got the score, and Mason, you mentioned, got Eli in the end zone, not once, but twice tonight. Eli, take us through the first one. You had a similar acrobatic catch over the defender. You maintained balance and got in the end zone. What were you thinking?
I was like, I don't even know, man. I was going crazy. I don't even know. I was like, oh shoot, and I caught it and I dove. I was like, hey, you know what I mean? I was mad hype. I don't know.
So you guys started strong. 2 great defensive plays early. Herb, first series for Cedar Crest, picks it off, takes it down. 2 plays later, Corral gets in the end zone for an early lead. Then E.J. Brownback, his 3rd pick 6 in 5 games.
Going right to him. Right to him.
I know we got contributors here on defense too, but right now we're talking to you as offensive players. What do you think about your defense and how they've played this game?
I mean, they're great. They held them to 20 points. I mean, that's all you can really ask. And a pick to start the game off, and then EJ with another pick 6. It's really nothing you can ask for more.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we might have started off a little shaky after our picks, but then our defense held them up, and we just stopped them from there. Stuffed them.
What do Chase Herb and E.J. Brownback mean to your defense?
I mean, I think they're leaders. They're phenomenal players. EJ's a great player. He might be a little quiet, but at sometimes, but I mean, he makes huge plays, and when it's his time to shine, he's there. Chase, he's always in the lights. So, I mean, they both play great.
The birthday boy Chase Herb with the pick, but also led the team with 6 tackles. E.J. Brownback not far behind with 5. Just all-around great effort, guys. Now, I know you're already going to push that one out of your memory because I hear it's a big week coming up this week. Mifflin coming to Gursky on Friday night. Look forward to talking to you and your teammates after another Wilson victory against the Mustangs in 1 week. So enjoy it and good luck.
Thank you.
All right. So thanks to those guys for joining us afterwards. But it wouldn't have been, it would have felt weird, Justin, if we didn't talk to Coach Dahms after this one, winning number 200. It was a pretty emphatic victory for him. And we had circled, around this time of the year for him to probably hit that milestone. We hoped it would be week 4 or 5 at the latest. And here we are. So Justin and I caught up with Coach Dahms after the big victory. Let's hear from him now.
All right, we're joined post-game now after Wilson's 62-20 victory over Cedar Crest. A big one, Coach, number 200 in your career as head coach. Feel like we just reminisced last week about 50 years, but you got 200. What does it mean?
It means I'm old. It's just a testament to the program, let's face it. I mean, I said to Jeremy and Ernie, they've been with me for all of them. They've done a great job as an OC and a DC. The whole staff does a great job in the support of the community, the parents, the players. It's just commitment right across the board, and that's what allows us to be where we are.
So pretty convincing win tonight. Jumped out to a great start, 14-0, and then they snuck back in, tied it up 14-14. But after that, it was pretty much domination. What did you see from the Falcons that you wanted to exploit offensively and defensively?
Well, we knew that their secondary was weak and we were going to be able to throw against it. All right, and they also gave us some bubbles on the defensive line that we felt we could run, and we did that pretty well. Defensively, obviously, one's a football player, and we knew that. And, he had that one big touchdown run because somebody went in the wrong hole and didn't go do their assignment, and then right after that, we had the pick 6 where it went out of Carp's hands into theirs, and so
bad bounce.
14 went from 14 zip and us controlling it to 14-14 real quick. But we then came back and started putting some more points on the board and started playing, and they're a team and they're young. Their front's not that good yet, but they're young. So
it felt like your offensive line was able to protect Mason really well tonight, and if he was under pressure, he was able to move his feet and keep plays going. Do you feel like they took a step, both Mason and the offensive line this week?
The offensive line, pass-wise, they've been doing a pretty good job all year. Picking up the blitz sometimes can be troublesome, but they do a pretty good job with it. Mason is, he's elusive. He does a nice job extending plays and then finding receivers downfield.
All right, well, it's Mifflin week now, big-time rivalry, back at Gursky on Friday. What do you tell the team leading up to the week? Do you have to say anything heading into this week?
All I said afterwards when we were done, I said, well, we're 4-1. Who do we have next week? They know.
Coach Henney knew. He was the first one to bring it up.
Yeah. So, this is one of those that, we just got to get up for the game. And that shouldn't be hard to do. They can't take them for granted. They can't think, we just got to go play football. Just keep getting a little better every week.
Exactly. Well, Coach, congratulations on not only this victory, but all 200 so far in your career as head coach. We look forward to talking to you after many more this season.
Thank you.
season, it happens. So we'll see. We'll see what happens as we move right along here. And what do you think about the Mustangs, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a tough go of it for them so far this year. They've had some, they've had some ups and downs. I know they lost to Muhlenberg, but Muhlenberg is really this is the best team they've had there in a couple decades. And they've got multiple studs. I know Drago in his article, I think it was Drago that was talking about how they had always been. Well, last year they were run small to the left, run small to the right. Mm-hmm. This year, I think it's Miller, the quarterback at Muhlenberg, and they, they've added that aspect, and so I know that'll catch people's attention, but that's not really, Muhlenberg isn't the Muhlenberg of the last decade, so it's a little different. So while you see that, you can't overlook that. Mifflin's going to be ready to play. They're going to be ready to get back, just like Wilson was ready after that Nazareth loss to move on. Let's get that next game out of the way. Let's get to play and kind of get that bad taste out of our mouths. I feel like that's what you're going to get from Mifflin, and you're going to get everything. Right. We've seen this many times. Obviously we say this in the show all the time. We're biased towards Wilson. It is the Bulldog Hour.
Yes.
However, when we look at it, we've seen times before where Mifflin is oh my gosh, you're going to get their best punch. You are going to get their absolute best punch. You need to be ready for it. You need to be disciplined because it is going to be a little bit different offense than what we see most weeks. So be prepared and be disciplined. Nobody needs to do more than their job. Just do your job.
Yeah.
Don't play hero ball. Just do your job and on offense and defense. And hopefully, like I said, we can continue to keep making steps in the right direction. Again, I thought we played really well on Friday night. I said minus 4 or 5 plays. I thought we did really well. But I don't want to peak at the end of September, right? We want to keep moving
right.
and peak in
better.
November, So that's where we're at. Friday's another step, but it's not. It's ignoring the magnitude of it is a little tough too. Right.
So I said Mifflin was 2-3 on the season. They started the year strong with a win at Pleasant Valley, 35-20. Then they returned home 2 weeks in a row, but both were losses. They lost 45-13 to Perkiomen Valley, and then, they were not both losses. The second one at home on September 5th was a 1-point victory against Hempfield, who the Bulldogs will play the week after they play Mifflin. It was 20-19. Mustangs win. They actually blocked a field goal in the final seconds to secure that victory. And then last Friday, they went to Exeter and lost 43-15 before going to Muhlenberg, losing 35-17. And then we are the final stop on their 3-game midseason road trip. Mustangs at Instashine Car Wash Field this Friday, September 26th, 7 p.m. kickoff. And I think that about does it. Sorry if the audio was wonky after the Dahms interview. I don't know what happened there, but I think we're back. I apologize. Wish I could tell you what happened, but I cannot. So thankfully, the stream that'll go out on the pod feed, the audio only, I checked was recording the whole time. So if you missed a couple minutes of Justin and I discussing the Mustangs, I'm sorry. It'll be in the podcast if you're interested in hearing about it. I love technology. It's the best. Anything left to say, Justin, about power rating, Cedar Crest, Governor Mifflin?
No, just, keep getting better every week, win your games, and the rest will take care of itself.
Absolutely. So, believe it or not, Justin, we scored 62 points against Cedar Crest in Lebanon 11 years ago, almost to the day, within a week. Another time Wilson scored 62, and I believe that actually had a very meaningful score the last time Wilson went there, following a loss in the Wilson family. But you mentioned, I know if scoregami, I don't know if anyone out there listening it understands what we're talking about. It's the unique score, individual score of a game. Has it ever happened before? So Justin was wondering if 62-20 was a unique Wilson football score. And by and large, up until yesterday, Wilson themselves had only ever scored 62 points once before against Cedar Crest down in Lebanon. So I'm going to say I don't know if Wilson's ever given up 62 points. That's an awfully large amount of points to give up.
Right.
I can't. If it happened a long time ago. I'm trying to see if it'll load.
Which I feel like makes it less likely.
Right, exactly. I feel like it would be much more difficult for the other team to score that many points. That is a lot of points to score. And it's going to take a while to get there. So I think that I'll have to report back about that, I think. I wish this would just hop to the end here. This database takes a long time to load. There's a lot of information in there, though, so I guess I shouldn't be that upset. There's over 800 games that it's cycling through. Okay, so Wilson has surrendered 60 or more points just twice in history. 69 points to a loss against Lebanon in 1952. Which was only
before our dads were born.
8th or 9th year in program history. Right. And then 63 points to Pittsburgh Central Catholic in the Western Pennsylvania Championship back in 2016.
Yeah, you want to see a loaded team, check out that roster.
Yeah, go look at that roster. Ridiculous. So here's the next question. I wonder what's the most points Wilson's ever surrendered at home, because these are all neutral or away games. So I wonder how much Wilson. Wow. So it's going to be on here. So it was.
I know they've done.
So there it was. Right there, and it was a recent game.
Yeah.
49 points to Manheim Township, and that would be with Landon Kennel.
Yeah.
And the Lehigh quarterback whose name is escaped. Evan Johnson, right?
Yeah, that was a couple years ago
2 years ago.
When I thought we played really well.
We
lost
lost 49-34, but we were like, I thought that was a pretty good game.
They may have mercy ruled.
They were destroying everyone. I think the only other team that gave them a run until Harrisburg upset them in the playoffs was Springford in like week 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Everyone else they had been beating by at least 35, if not 40 to 50 points. So I thought it was a relatively strong showing despite losing, and it ends up being the most points that Wilson has ever surrendered at home at a game on the Wilson campus, or when they were the home team on a neutral field, it looks like. So a few of those actually recent games, Mifflin scoring 48 in 2020 is on here as well. Then you get a nice one against Hellertown from 1962, and the Hellertown Panthers eventually became part of the Saucon Valley School District. Okay. So, yeah, a lot of interesting things in this database that I have literally took me 7 years to complete. Now, obviously, I wasn't working on it every day, but it took a long time to complete it, and I look forward to updating it again soon. Yeah. All right, I think that's it. So thanks for tuning in here on the 11th episode of the Bulldog Hour's 11th season. Congratulations to Coach Dahms for winning 200, and for the team in general getting win number 4 here at the midway point of the season. We hope to see you all this Friday night at Instashine Field at Gursky Stadium for the rivalry game against Governor Mifflin. That's it. So for Justin Raffauf, the entire Wilson football program, I'm Joe Mays. Until next time, remember, go Bulldogs.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Bulldog Hour. Want more Wilson football? Follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud, or visit www.bulldoghour.com. The Bulldog Hour is a featured program on jmnjrradio.com.